a lot out of this video as it is. And I wanted to keep a lot of the time lapses so that you can refer to them if desired. Otherwise, feel free to skip through, have fun, although you might miss some sweet dance moves if you skip through. Just saying. There is a pride in refinishing things. There is a pride in doing something from the get-go where you are learning, because you built knowledge that is priceless, and no one can take that away from your wee brain. Unless, of course, you get in like a car accident or something and you turn to mush. Then technically someone has taken that away from you. We won't get negative though. There is pride in doing this yourself. So keep going, okay? Thanks, good talk. Andy here from Color Oasis. Today, or these multiple days, I'm going to be refinishing this table. To start it off, I'm going to show you the various things you need, which is the stripper because it has lots of old oil paint on it, and some brushes for it, an empty quart. We got some tools for taking off the sludge that the stripper creates with the old paint. So those are going to scrape off. We got sandpaper to get down to the original wood finish. And we've got our stain, and I'm going to show the top coat once I get it, but I haven't got it yet, so hold tight for that. Now, to give you a quick little story on how I got this table, and I've already finished the one chair, which is right here. I will show you. Yes, here, that is the chair. And I need to do the other chair still, and the table. So we're starting with the table, or we're moving on to the table next, and then we'll carry on from there. So I was walking Maggie down the street, just to give you a little story, and this table was at the end of someone's driveway, and I started playing with it and noticed that the sides come up all cool, and I thought, holy who got rid of this? It is solid wood, it is maple. Anyway, so I saw this table, and this other woman was coming by, and she's like, I mean, you don't take that, that's it, I'm going to. You don't find stuff like that nowadays. You don't find solid wood furniture. And I said, I know. The beauty of technology nowadays. I call my dad, I'm like, Dad, bring the RAV. We gotta pick up this table set. And he was on it. He was over. Luckily, he was close by, and so we were able to hijack it. And now I got this sweet little set that I've been using a lot, which is why it's been quite some time and I haven't refinished it yet. But here we go. So let's go. I'm gonna show you how to turn this into that. Alright folks, so let's do it. Numero 1 is to strip the table, and not in some kinky way. We are going to strip the white nasty paint off. So here we go. I'm not quite sure how often I want to move the camera, so I will show you the super satisfying effect of when you put the paint and varnish stripper on, and as it starts to just erode the paint, and then you gotta scrape it away as such. Oh, also, make sure you got a good drink of something. I've got hot chocolate because I just felt like it was a hot chocolate kind of night, you know? I don't know if I'm being cut off. I'm probably being cut off. That's okay. That's okay. At least I've acknowledged it, so that you're not watching this going, wow, she cut her own head off. Wow. How smart. I should mention that when I had finished my chair that I showed you, because it was over a very spread out amount of time, like the stripping, it took me, like, I don't know how many times it's gonna, or how many layers it's gonna take me of this stripper to do it. I would leave this in here, and I made the horrible mistake of closing this once, and when I went to open it the next day, I guess the reaction of this built up. It was, I'll get the science terms after the fact, but it was like getting ready to combust. It was, so when I went to, when I went to go like open it because it was sealed, this, I kid you not, I did this and this popped off and like whacked me in the wrist, and I was out. KO'd. Be weary. And I just remembered because as I was untwisting this, I heard air, and Yeah, so I'm hoping this doesn't shoot off. If it does, Lord have mercy. Please. Oh, we're good, okay. Mention you should have gloves when doing this. I forgot how horribly acidic and poisonous this is, so stand by. Here we go. Game on. So what I should mention is what ends up happening is, so you brush on the stripper, and as it's active, like shortly after it's done its bubbling and it's stripping, then you want to physically then start stripping. But be careful not to, like, even the rubber glove. I put my hand down in it for a second and it started eroding the glove. So, and I've done it like when I did my chair, I had holes in my glove because I just was super messy about it and just kept slopping it on and then letting it eat everything. So be careful. And when you're putting on it as well, it likes to flick places. And when it gets on your skin, it is just like the most pleasant feeling in the world. Just kidding. It is. It burns and it itches and you just kind of feel like you're having an acid bath. So please don't do that. And keep in mind this stuff is, you can't find it everywhere for that very reason. So, hey guys, we're back here at day number 554562001099. Just kidding, it hasn't been that long, but we are on definitely day number, I guess it's only day number 2 of this project. That's pretty good for me. That's pretty good. And we're gonna take this moment before I continue to have a little therapeutic moment, and it is an analogy off of refinishing this table. Like I am about to, don't mind the glasses, I just thought it'd be fun because while I was using the stripper the other night, I kind of felt it burning my eyes, just like the fumes. Make sure you're in a ventilated area, by the way, when you're using it. Anyhoozles, I have to do another layer of the stripper, and sometimes it can be very daunting. Like when people come into the store and they tell me, or one of my wonderful colleagues, that they want to refinish furniture and we tell them all of the wonderful tedious steps that go with it, they easily get deterred and just want to paint it instead of refinishing, sanding, staining, and putting a varnish on. So this is just a moment to say, keep going. Whatever you're doing right now in life, if you're going after a goal or a dream, just keep going. Like, there have been many times where I have been like sleep deprived when going after something or fighting for a goal, and I'll be like walking my dog or doing some other more mundane task in between the chaos, and you have to become your own motivator, which is a very hard thing to do because at the end of the day, you're all that you got, you know what I'm saying? And if you just keep telling yourself like, I'm proud of you, keep going, it helps. Just like even verbally say it to yourself. I find that seems to help and give you an extra boost. Like when there's not someone there to give you that leg up, to give you that motivation, you got it. It's all you. You can tell yourself you can do it. So with that said, we are going to continue to strip this table and get it refinished in a timely manner, or at least timely manner for me. Because yeah, these things just take a while. And I love this table and I want to use it again. So here we go. Sanding stage. Thank goodness. This is what we're going to be using, and we're going to be going through each grit. So we're going to start by taking off the thing that's, or the layer that is still really thick, and work it down to a really fine finish so that when the stain goes on, it just seeps in really nicely. Because if you keep it too rough when refinishing furniture and then you stain it, you will see lines and all kinds of ugly, nasty things instead of the wood, or the grain of the wood. And additionally, if you want to, when you're holding the sander, it vibrates. If you want to cut that down, you can be like a Pokemon trainer and catch them all and put some gloves on. So that will reduce the shaking a little bit. So that it don't hurt you so much. And of course, protect your eyes if there's all kinds of gunk on it. You'll thank yourself later when you still have both your eyes. You'll notice here I go from fixating on the spots with paint. With the sander, I'm really trying to get those off, to doing nice even strokes back and forth, which I speak to again later on. So here we are switching to a fresh sandpaper pad for the palm sander, or the orbital as some people will call it. While you're doing it, try to intermittently check the sandpaper you're using, because while you can just keep going with the same one, it's probably gonna wear down and become like something that might be a 80 grit might turn into a 100 grit because you've used it so much. So now it's a lot softer and it's not really opening up the grain as much as you would like it to. Keep that in mind. Check your sandpaper. While sanding the legs, ideally, well, sanding any kind of wood, if it's going to be taking stain, you want to go with the grain. However, getting the paint off the spindles was really tricky in all those little spots. So I chose to take the get her done move, or get her done approach, which can end up screwing you over later on. And I'll show you that with the stain. It doesn't look as perfect as it can or could. It just takes a lot of finessing, and depending on how you want the piece to end up looking, you take at your own discretion, sand how you would like, but ideally go with the grain, starting with rough, going softer. Same as what I did with the tabletop. We are now working our way up to a 100 grit. Like I said, we're gonna do it softer and softer so that that wood grain is, or that we're sanding it right down to that original wood grain. That will give us the most uniform and beautiful finish at the end. So 100 grit, here we go. See, I'm going right across, back and forth to create that uniform, nice finish that'll let the stain soak in nice and even with the grain of the wood, not sandpaper lines. Okay, so now I'm gonna take a little bit of time to finesse in here, because, so what you gotta be careful of, when using a sander is that, or a palm sander, something more powerful, is that you can really screw up the the workmanship that was done before for shaping like the spindles and all the detailing of the wood, because you can grind that right down and flatten it and almost give it bald spots in a way. So you want to make sure you don't do that. So let me show you. Because this is taking so damn long, I went and I asked more questions to see if I was doing everything okay again, because when you do this spaced out, it's always good to double check your knowledge, because things might have changed or new technologies might have come out. But now when it comes to refinishing furniture and doing hands-on things, it doesn't really change. So I got stronger grit sandpaper. We've got we got some good old 80, and we even jumped down to 60. So ow, oh, that really hurt. What if I'm bleeding? Wow, okay, I'm brilliant. We got some sponges, and I even got like an angled so I can get in some more crevices and such. And that's pretty much it. So here we go. We're gonna continue, do some time lapses and things, and I wanted to speak again to when you're stripping the table, when you're using like the intense liquid stripper. I was watching some other people, and the one guy put it on and he lets it soak into the wood and keeps it all moist and then strips it all off into like just a big mushy mess. But I liked to leave it was still active, like it was still moist, but then take everything that can be just chipped off and that dries, because then I'm gonna use it for something else. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with that sludge after the fact to dispose of it properly. And like, I'm not really into just throwing things into the garbage or away and not knowing exactly where it's going. So just wanted to speak to that. So I'd rather strip it till I feel I'm not really getting any of those crunchies left from the paint coating that is already on, or stain coating that is on the wood and then just sand everything else away. So that's just my 2 cents. Whether you agree with it or not, that's up to you. So, woo! Let's do this. So here I jump between the sandpaper and these handy dandy wood detailing tools for the nooks and crannies of the spindles. And I do this because those spindles aren't too forgiving when it comes to that. It's a lot harder than you think to get sandpaper or even just a generic abrasive sponge into all those crevices while going with the grain, because they're so small. To make it evenly go is just not, it just ain't a thing. It is harder than you'd think to get sandpaper or even just a generic abrasive sponge to go along the grain and get it right down to its original surface or substrate. Fun fact, YouTube now has all kinds of royalty-free music, and I found some such as this, which are incredibly catchy. So, in case you want some extra entertainment while watching these time lapses of me sanding to my death, then I'll dance. Hey guys, here we are. We're on day, I don't even know anymore, and the coronavirus is spreading across the land and no one knows what to do, so they're hoarding toilet paper. And this is a really good thing to do if you have nothing else better to do, because everything is closing. Lots of people are painting or repainting and renovating their houses because they're anticipating to be in isolation, or at least they're getting all the things to prepare to be in isolation and have something to do while in the lull. So anyway, we are at the stage where I'm gonna be proactive and stain the top of the wood, the top of my table, not the top of the wood. And then I'll continue scraping away and sanding off the paint on the legs. And so yeah, I'm gonna show you how to do that. Well, all the geese are moving in regular formation, so that's good. It's good. So what I'm gonna do first is sand it with about 150, back and forth, nice even strokes across the grain and with the grain. And once doing that, and I'm reopening the pores of the wood, I'm then going to drop water on, as you can see, and if that seeps in really well, then it's ready for the stain. Now, maple and a few other woods are known for being splotchy when you apply the stain, so I'm gonna choose to just go ahead and stain this wood instead of putting the wood conditioner on first, because I want to see how it'll look with imperfections, and I think I might like it, so we're gonna do that. Hold up. I didn't mention, or I didn't note, that after sanding, it's always a great idea to wipe down the table with a damp cloth before continuing on, because you're gonna have all of the dust particles remaining and you don't want to let those hang around while you're staining. And you technically could, but just try to create a clean surface when you go at it. Now, I made the rookie mistake of taking my damp cloth and just kind of smacking it on the table first, and instead of letting it fully dry, I let the moisture stay there, so now you can see the splotch. Now, I don't mind, because to me it adds history and it's unique, and if you want, you'll see that the stain took darker in that spot, and if you wanted to avoid that, if you accidentally get more water on it, because the wood was open and was taking the moisture so well, just wipe down the whole thing evenly, let it dry out again, and then do your stain. That will help you get away from any random splotching that you most definitely probably do not want. And obviously after you let it dry, you've got to reopen those pores of the wood, which means you got to resand, even just with the softer grain, to really open it up to then take the stain. You will notice that stirring is quite essential with stain, depending on what kind of stain you're using, of course, but or how dark the color is. You can see here that like that big thick chunky part, that is the pigment that separates from the solvent. And I stir for quite a while. Don't want to shake it, just stir it until when you lift that stick out, that's clear, and it's all the same consistency. You don't want that clump sticking around because that is the pigment that you want to show up in the wood, unless you don't, in which case why would you get a stain that you didn't, like for a certain color but then didn't use the color. Now here I'm staining, try to go with the grain of the wood. Again, same thing. Always go with the wood, don't go against it. You see those lines right there, the big swivel ones? That's from the orbital sander, and that could be from, whoops, that is from having more pressure on one side or one of the edges. That dug in deeper, and then you'll see where the marks are right across full length of the grain of the wood of the table. So I just, and you can't see it clearly when you've sanded and all set is done, like it all feels smooth and uniform. But after the fact, yeah, I realized after I had gone, actually you'll notice when you dampen it, and you add that moisture, it'll stick out, but to me, I was happy with the rest of it, so I continued on. So check for that. If you don't want to see random lines and such, then check with moisture. If you don't like it, sand that baby back down, and hopefully you'll get to a nice uniform finish with your wood. So we're almost there. I've got to continue. I've got to freshen up and open the pores again of the legs to stain, and scuff up in here a little bit more. And I'd like to mention that if I was refinishing this furniture for someone else or for resale, I would be taking this completely apart so that I could get in these parts that are harder to see. Because you'll notice that because I'm putting such a deep stain, like such a dark stain on after the fact, you're going to see all these little white spots that I can't quite get out. Down here, if I really worked like a little harder with an angled sanding sponge or with the string I have, it will eventually come off. But I'm in a circumstance where I wanted to overall freshen this table up, and then hello. Okay, like I was saying, with something like this, if I was redoing it to sell it, I would take this table completely apart and sand, that way I could sand all these crevices. But in this case, I'm not too concerned because I actually want to use this table again, and it's already been a week, 2 weeks probably, and trying to refinish this in between work. So yeah, I'm gonna leave these slight imperfections, and when I stain it with this dark stain, you're gonna see all these little white marks that I didn't quite get. So I assure you it'll still look pretty sweet. And then under here I'll be painting, so I'm gonna scuff that up after this fact and then repaint it. I'm going to add some little painted stripes to the edge of my table and to little parts of the legs, and these are little testers. They are Benjamin Moore testers of any color, and they're just generic eggshell finishes for your wall paint. And what's going to make them durable after the fact, like they're not a durable thing on their own, is the top coat that's going over top of the whole table after the fact. So I'm going to do these, and I think after this, I am going to sand the bottom of the table and get it painted one solid color, or a few out of these. So yeah, I've got all of the different colors here, like I just showed. So without further ado, I'm going to tape off the stripes. So I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do these. I'm just going to wing it, and that'll be a part of the character of this table, okay? Frog tape. And ready for top coat, which is the Sanson Floor, and I chose gloss as the sheen. Now the satin Sanson Floor product is a little bit shinier than a normal satin, and I wanted to go hella gloss. Also, it was the collective agreement with my colleagues to go full on gloss, and it looks so pretty, so I'm down for it. And you'll see it really, once you put that top coat on, it really richens up the stain and the grain of the wood. The first coat of the floor, the Sanson Floor, is done drying. I can touch it. Now, honestly, the top coat is not my favorite thing to do. Brush stroke still, you want to make sure you really commit when you do it. Anyway, so now we're gonna go at it with the really fine sandpaper again, the 320, just to take off any excess, and then a damp cloth, and then we're back at it again with the top coat again. And this product is it is meant for floors. It is so durable. I ended up doing 3 coats, and you'll notice that with any varnish, when you put the first coat on, it usually kind of seeps in as well, and then you sand in between that coat, put your next coat, and then sand again. I hate the top coat, the varnish stage, because you have to really commit to your strokes. I like to do a more artistic, I guess, approach when I'm painting, and you could say overwork it, but I really, once I get in the zone of like, this is the top coat, I gotta commit, I seem to pull through okay. So just make sure you do long strokes back and forth, put tons. I'm gonna slap tons down at once. Do not overwork it or put too little, because you will find you'll be overworking it because you're trying to spread it across that surface. Just add more. You want it to just float. Just float real smooth, silky smooth, and you'll get that sweet finish. And I get worried because the brush I was using wasn't the greatest. It's just some random thicker artist brush I have, and it had more bristle marks after I had done it, but you can't, once you put it on, it dries fast. You can't go back. Like it starts to dry, it starts to cure fast. Just leave it, and you'll notice over the 24 hours, or however long, whichever varnish you're using, it's self-levels very nicely, or at least the floor in particular. And I've also used like spar urethane and some other varnishes. They self-level beautifully. So have faith in the product you're using if it's top coat, because they're usually meant to self-level as such. And obviously it's different if you have a surface that is parallel to gravity versus vertical surfaces, right? And I am sorry I didn't show myself doing the third coat. If you can find furniture that suits your needs, that happens to be wood, and it just takes a little bit of refinishing. When I say little bit, I know it's a very tedious process, but there's a pride in it, you know? Just, you know, take hold of it, do it, because IKEA furniture doesn't last you, and so many people are investing in it, and it's not really an investment because you're just buying shitty particle board with weird glossy surfaces. Now, don't get me wrong, I have some IKEA shelves and some things from there, but yeah, going forward, I've made a pact with myself. I said I will not buy any more clothing or furniture or any other things I don't necessarily need, and I'm going to fix what I have, or grab hold of sweet deals like this and then make them my own. You can do it too. Let's go.